This is a presentation of Smacking Off the Podcast. The voice of Carl Bruton-Anadilewski is generated at 15.ai.
Welcome, football fans, to another quality edition of Devine's Games of the Week.
I watched a little of the Auburn-Missouri game yesterday. I think right around when it was 14-14, and I was rooting hard for Auburn to get it going and get it right. And they ultimately pulled it out. They won. I know, and I know it. You're not happy about it because you really want to see Harsin. Okay,
that's
but
just me. That's what you guys.
Okay, but you're very happy to you want to see Harsin gone. He'll ultimately be gone, Gabe. That's a fact. But again, as we discussed last week,
it's just we had too much talent on the roster to be just doing this. There's talent on this roster. You know, we have three great receivers that is fast as hell, and yet we're running such simple routes that the DBs can just run around.
Well, I mentioned this in the in one of my the Notre Dame groups I haven't been kicked out of, but all the sunshine pumping domers were out yesterday because we beat North Carolina, and I quickly reminded them North Carolina gave up 61 points to Appalachian State. And they didn't, of course they didn't like that,
Sean,
but,
Sean, I got to remind you something really quick.
Yes.
We wouldn't be tied right now. You'd be leading right now if you would have just taken Notre Dame.
I saw it.
With the confidence of one.
I took North Carolina too. I thought North Carolina was going to have enough offense to kind of counterpart their defense.
I don't know why. I just couldn't buy it. I didn't have a lot of confidence that Notre Dame was going to win, but I couldn't buy it.
I had two yesterday, Doug, that I couldn't pull the trigger on. I got cold feet at the altar, as they say. One was Notre Dame, and the other was I just couldn't fathom Minnesota walking into East Lansing and getting a win.
Me either.
And hell, Minnesota just absolutely took the Spartans to the woodshed.
I messed up on that one too.
On Michigan State, I picked them to lose to Washington, which I saw from a mile away, and then I saw Minnesota. I'm like, you know what? Maybe they had a good week last week. Maybe they got some confidence. Maybe they can go in East Lansing and do it, and then they did it. I keep screwing around and messing up in other games.
I'm just the crazy thing is, I'm in second in our group, smacking off, and I'm in I think fifth or sixth in Tim's group, which is incredible considering the fact that what my actual overall record is pitiful right now. I think I've lost 12 or 13 games thus far this year.
You've done good on your picks for confidence, though.
For the points, I'm doing great on like my 10, 9, 8, and 7s haven't really lost, through these few weeks. But I gotta pick it up. I gotta do better. I'm frankly embarrassed by my personal performance, to be frank.
Well, Oklahoma and Kansas State killed my fucking ass this week because that was my 10.
Yeah. I got very lucky. Right before both Oklahoma and USC, those games kicked off, I flipped them. I had Oklahoma. Don't get me wrong. I picked like everybody else. I picked Oklahoma, but I started getting like a sinking feeling in my stomach regarding OU and K-State.
Mm-hmm.
So I flipped Oklahoma to the USC position, and I moved USC up. And that didn't look great for a while there either, because USC was playing like they always do when they go to Corvallis. I took North Carolina with 1 because I've been just so similar to you with Auburn. I've been beaten down with how bad and embarrassed I am with how Notre Dame's playing this year. That in good conscience, I couldn't pick them on the road. Maybe that pep talk from Reese paid off, because Drew Pine actually looked like a somewhat competent quarterback Saturday. Now, he still had flashes of immaturity and poor decision making like he did against Cal, but he made up for it with some clutch throws. That one
Yeah.
where he faked everybody out, where he was looking right, and then he went back left and found, I think it was either Tyree or Diggs out of the backfield, the running back, and that dude just walked into the end zone. I was like, okay, well, maybe we can work with this. Here's and I mentioned this either in the group text or the group chat, excuse me, or maybe I mentioned it when I just posted on Facebook. When I was certainly we won the game, but here's the problem, and this is very similar to Auburn's problem in modern college football now. You cannot win, particularly close games, if you don't have a difference maker at quarterback, that is mobile and can throw it accurately. And number two, if you do not have the dynamic wide receiver that can take the top off the defense. If you don't have those on offense, you're really forced to be one-dimensional. And Notre Dame was very much one-dimensional against North Carolina. And the reason we won, though, was just North Carolina's defense is so bad that, okay, fine. But you saw when we played Ohio State and when we played Marshall, those defenses were competent. They took those, rudimentary things that we do away from us, and we were sort of, we're like a rudderless ship in the ocean. We're just, you're not sinking, but you're not going anywhere. You're just sort of floating, and that's a problem for Notre Dame. Our wide receivers cannot take the top off the defense, does not present any sort of deep threat, and Pine, albeit he's competent, he makes good decisions, he is not mobile. So when he gets in trouble, it's a sack, and then the only thing for me is, well, just don't fumble the ball, and that's what Notre Dame's going to be the rest of the season. The defense will keep us in games, and you saw the defense sacked May a number of times, but May still had a very good game statistically if you look at his stats. And I don't think North Carolina is as bad as we think they are. I think they'll probably go 7-5, 8-4 ish in the ACC as we're starting to hit, the conference slate. But that's the difference between those teams that go to the college football playoff and the teams that do not. The dynamic quarterback play and receivers that can take the top off the defense, and we saw it in spectacular form Saturday night when Ohio State just absolutely sliced and diced and shredded Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah. That was beautiful to watch.
I mean, that's why they talk about C.J. Stroud. That's why he was a 5-star, and potentially one of the, him or Bryce Young are going to be one of those two will be the first quarterback in next year's draft. And we saw it with that, when Bama needed it against Texas, Bryce Young showed out. That's why he's the defending Heisman Trophy winner. He's spectacular. And we saw it again in the Florida-Tennessee game. Hendon Hooker, as much as I make fun of the Tennessee fan base, which they are deserving of such, because, again, they exhibited bad behavior during, they should have been happy. They won the game, and instead they're doing things they shouldn't be doing. They're cursing out Florida in a chant. They're getting in fist fights with Florida fans. That's why, to me, they're the second worst fan base in the SEC. Obviously, the number one worst fan base is the Corn Dogs. But Hendon Hooker.
I don't know, man. Alabama, they made a pretty good case.
I don't think the. I don't.
You don't have to live.
You
don't live with them. You don't live with them. That's the problem.
No, but I had plenty of friends go to the Notre Dame Alabama 2013 BCS game, and they had a spectacular time with the Alabama fans. They had not one complaint. So to be fair, you're right. I don't live in the state of Alabama, but and it's not a bitter rival. Notre Dame Alabama is a fairly friendly rivalry, but I've never had any complaints with the Alabama fans. I think they're a great fan base. I've never seen them do anything egregious like Tennessee or Corn Dog, the LSU fan base, has done.
I don't know. You see, I'm completely different. LSU, there's no complaints at
Well,
all.
I mean LSU. You got to remember
Alabama.
this is 2 years ago, I think, or 3 years ago. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was either before COVID or after COVID that LSU lost to Alabama in Baton Rouge, and they shot some poor Alabama fan at a bar just for wearing Alabama gear in corn dog country. That's pathetic. That is
Oh yeah.
that is the behavior of a pathetic fan base, where you would shoot and kill a guy in a bar because he's wearing gear of the team you don't like.
Well, Alabama fan took a piss on an LSU drunk fan, so it goes both ways in that rivalry.
Well, he shouldn't have been laying there. We're going to be in October, Doug. This game used to mean everything in the SEC West. This week, it will not. The LSU Tigers visit the Auburn Tigers. This game does not matter whoever wins. Does not matter. In the grand scheme,
we know who you're going to be pulling. We definitely know who you're going to be pulling for.
Obviously, the Auburn Tigers. Go War Eagle. Go Plainsman, of course. But whoever wins this game, their season is over. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of.
Yeah, don't look at that 2-3-1 record. That is very, very.
Neither of these teams are going to a New Year's Six. Even though I had hoped when I put this list down in August, as I communicated with Doug, I built this, but I've added, earlier today, I was re-looking at the schedule. I have newbies, but LSU at Auburn. That game doesn't matter this week. I got another one that doesn't matter this week. Stanford at Oregon used to be a game. That used to be a very important game in the Pac-12 North.
Oh man, 2010, yes.
Right. That determined who, 2010, Stanford is hot dog shit right now. And I hate to say that because my heart hurts for Stanford. I think Stanford's one of the most incredible universities in our country. But right now they're really not good at football. And I'd love to know if David Shaw will eventually maybe get on Doug's hot seat, because this is not the first year that Stanford has been very bad.
I put him there before, but it's hard to get too fired up. That I think he's there right now, actually, but I don't have any faith that they'll fire him before the end of the year, because that's not really.
And neither do I. I just, that's the problem for Stanford, is I have no faith that they're going to fire David Shaw, which he certainly at this point is worthy of a look for termination. He started out very hot his first 4 years at Stanford, but since it's gotten very chilly here in Palo Alto, and you can win in Palo Alto. Don't let the pundits say, well, Stanford, you got to be a really smart kid. We've seen it done before. We've seen it done before with Christian McCaffrey, with Andrew Luck, going all the way back to, when John Elway was at Stanford. So This is just, I think David Shaw has been resting on his laurels, and he hasn't been active on the recruiting trail. And it doesn't certainly help that Stanford is on the outside looking in of the teams moving to the Big Ten. But yeah, this used to be a great game. Stanford at Oregon, this Saturday. Look for the Ducks to take care of business with Gabe's guy, Bo Nix, looking great. Outside shot, maybe, of potentially an invite to New York for the Heisman if he keeps doing what he's doing.
Oh, yeah.
He's just got to do enough to get people to forget about that Georgia game, right?
Well, Doug, that was week one. Come on now. That was week one.
Yeah.
And let's be fair. As much as I love my Georgia Bulldogs, that's my SEC team, you know that. Pitiful performance at home against Kent State between the hedges. Very poor performance. I don't know what happened, but the Dogs did not look good against Kent State. So we can pump the brakes on.
Their schedule is so pathetic that it's just they don't really have to try.
Well, they play an SEC schedule here, so let's pump the brakes on that.
I mean, what's their next good game? Tennessee, maybe? Tennessee.
Well, Tennessee's unbeaten, and every vol that can find coveralls in orange are telling you right now that Tennessee might be a college football playoff team. And the last game that doesn't matter that was originally on my list that we all thought might have been a game was Virginia Tech at North Carolina. We thought that might be a game of importance in the ACC. Both teams have been pitiful. Virginia Tech got destroyed by West Virginia on, is that Friday night? Or Thursday night? Thursday night. And then North Carolina, of course, losing a bad Notre Dame team at home. So that game no longer matters. Oh, but first, let me give you my rundown, the new games I added, because we didn't think these were going to be games, but now they have a utmost importance. We don't have to talk about them, but I'm just going to list them real quick. Oregon State at Utah suddenly becomes a game. Battle of one-loss teams. That's going to be a game. It's going to be a good game. And last year, if you remember, Oregon State beat Utah. I was at that game, by the way. Fun fact. I was at the big potato salad known as Reser Stadium in Corvallis. Both one loss. Utah just beat Arizona State. Oregon State licking their wounds after a very close defeat at home to USC 17-14. That's a good game. Another game. Just barely losing in overtime. Wake Forest Demon Deacons to Clemson. Travels to Tallahassee, Florida. The unbeaten Seminoles host the Demon Deacons. That's going to be a good game. I'm excited for that game.
Oh, yeah.
And then lastly, the Iowa State Cyclones just barely losing at home to Baylor. Baylor's a good team. We know that. Baylor went to the Big 12 title game last year. Travels to the unbeaten Kansas Jayhawks this weekend. Let's find out if Kansas is for real. If they can.
When are we going to rank Kansas, man? Come on.
They got to beat Iowa State this week, Gabe. They got to beat Iowa State. If they beat Iowa State at home this week, they move to 5-0. Kansas will be ranked. Mark it down.
But Jayhawks.
As your favorite Ticonderoga pencil pusher, Lee Corso would say, not so fast, my friend. I like Iowa State, Matt Campbell. They're going into Rock Chalk Jayhawk, and they're walking out with a W. Mark it down. So those are my three games that newly minted made the list, even though we didn't think they would be worthwhile preseason. Suddenly, they take on added importance to where we are during the season. Go ahead with your first game there, Gabe.
Mine's Auburn and LSU because
you're a homer. That's why.
Well,
let's be honest.
No, does Auburn does after we get destroyed by LSU, hopefully.
You're not going to get destroyed by LSU. See, that's come on. What are we doing here? You're not going to get destroyed by LSU. You might lose the game, but you got enough talent on defense.
Brian Kelly, he sucks so much. It's just
and that quarterback for LSU is he setting the world on fire? Last I checked, the answer is no.
No.
I mean, the only time he's looked good this year was that last drive against Florida State in New Orleans when they marched. Yeah. Other than that, the LSU quarterback, his name is escaping me right now.
Jalen Daniels.
Caden Daniels, thank you. But he hadn't lit the world on fire. And Brian Kelly's supposed to be some sort of quarterback guru. He told Notre Dame fans, including me, that for 10 years. Well, the proof is in the pudding, right? Tell me one Notre Dame quarterback in the last 10 years that lit the world on fire. None of them. So I don't think Auburn gets blown out by LSU in this game. I do not see that. Doug, what do you think?
I like Auburn at home. I do. I mean, I think LSU could win this game, but I think Auburn will have a.
This is
a shot right till the end.
I think this is a field goal game. My question, and Gabe would know this, is
how do we score?
Is your quarterback going to be healthy for the game?
Yeah, if we get TJ Finley, I honestly think we win the game.
I would say if Finley is going to play, I like Auburn by, say, a field goal or 6. Just simply because the one thing I got to give the Auburn family credit for, man, y'all suck this year. You do. You suck.
Yeah, we suck.
Man, you guys show up and don't leave until the end of the game. It's a hell of a fan base you got there. Those fans
Yeah.
stay until the bitter end. That's great fan base, right on par with Nebraska. Their fans do the same thing. So it's a hard place to win in Auburn, and LSU. Yeah, hadn't really impressed. The only thing they did do, I mean, I was shocked. They were losing at home to Mississippi State, and they came back and won that game, though. So
Yeah.
that was impressive.
It
They
took
do
that
get
turnover,
they
the
do,
muff punt by Mississippi State for the to break Mississippi State's back, and then LSU took the momentum, and then they never looked back. And I'll give them
right,
credit for that.
and they were at home in Death Valley, which is a hard place to win.
Yeah.
And also Mississippi State cannot run the ball to save their life. I mean, and in the
Yeah.
SEC, you got to be able to run the ball a little bit. You
Yeah.
know. Yeah. Oh, if it's man, the Auburn faithful are going to be ratcheted up. They're going to have 8 hours of enjoying some delicious Dr. Peppers before a game. Gabe might be there. Maybe Gabe, you gonna go to that one?
No.
No. Oh, come on, Gabe.
I'm done with Auburn.
Some fan you are. Come on.
It's not that I'm done with it. It's just I'm not going there until we fire
It's not like
Harbaugh,
you're
which is
getting
why
it's not like you're busy getting your oil change over in Mooresville, Alabama. Come on now, or Trustville, or whichever's closer.
Well, you gotta go talk to Gomer Pyle for a while, and Mayberry.
I think you should go to this game. I think if I was closer, I'd go to this game. I think it'll be a good one. Like it's under the lights at Jordan Hare. That's always going to be a good time. I like Auburn by a field goal in this game. TJ Finley plays, then I definitely like Auburn. If he's not playing, then give me LSU by a field goal. Because I know, what's Caden? Help me out.
Jalen Daniels.
Jaden. I always forget that kid's name. I apologize. But yeah, it depends. If TJ Finley plays, give me Auburn by a field goal. If he doesn't, then give me LSU by a field goal. But it's going to be a good one. It'll be a slobber knocker.
Washington at UCLA Saturday, 10:30 Eastern kick on ESPN.
That isn't my number 5 game. You know what my number 5 game of the week is? The unbeaten. Shout out to my good friend Bruce Martinez, friend of the show. The 4-0 Washington Huskies, Doug, traveled down to the often empty, plenty of good seats still available UCLA Bruins, who are also 4-0. Big Pac-12 fight this week. And I bet you there's probably going to be more Washington Husky fans in the stands at the Rose Bowl than are Bruin fans. Because those Bruin fans, they're on the beach. They're doing things that are legal here in California that cloud their mind. But the Bruins are unbeaten, 4-0 with Chip Kelly, just barely surviving one of Gabe's favorite Alabama squads. I think it was the South Alabama Jaguars, 32-31 last weekend at the Rose Bowl, where all of five people saw it. But the Huskies travel down to UCLA, and they're both unbeaten. Say Washington wins this game, which I think we all think Washington is going to win this game. If Washington wins, they get to 5-0, right? Doug, correct me if I'm wrong. Washington was the last Pac-12 team to make the college football playoff, if I'm not mistaken.
Not only the last, yeah, they were definitely the last, and one of only 2. I think Oregon's the only other.
Yeah. Oregon made it the original year that they beat the hell out of. I'm trying to
Washington State.
Out of Florida State. That was the Jameis Winston. He fumbled because no one hit him game. You remember that? He was loading up to throw the ball, and he just fumbled. No one touched him, by the way. That was the other funny thing. They did the meme of Lance Stevenson, when he blew at LeBron at the free throw line. They did that with Jameis. Lance Stevenson blowing from a distance, and Jameis fumbled. But Washington was the last Pac-12 team to make the college football playoff. If they win this game, they go to 5-0, and particularly if they win this game convincingly, we can start taking Washington for real. I believe this is a game where if they win,
who their quarterback is, but he is pretty good.
I This is terrible. I watched a bit of the Washington-Michigan State game 2 weeks ago, but you're absolutely right. I couldn't tell you one player. Hell, I couldn't even tell you who Washington's head coach is right now. And I know Bruce, the dog father, he's going to rip me a new one later when we have a phone call. But
Yeah.
I lost a dinner for him and his wife because I took Michigan State and he took Boston. So, and I still don't really believe in Washington, but if they beat UCLA this week, I will start believing in the Huskies in the Pacific Northwest.
You don't believe in Washington, but you believe in them a little bit more than you do Michigan State, don't you?
Oh, I was, that's why it was. Remember a few episodes ago, Doug, we talked about that one clown calling me an analyst, and I always said I've never claimed to be an analyst. I'm just a guy who sits on his couch and watches college football. That's all I've ever claimed to be.
Right.
I never said I was an analyst. I said I look for the games that I think are going to be the most entertaining games. I've been wrong a number of times, and I'm not afraid to say that I've been wrong. And I was completely wrong about Michigan State this year. I drank the Tuck Kool-Aid, the Mel Tucker Kool-Aid, and boy, was I wrong. But I'm okay. I'm happy being wrong. I'm very happy to see Minnesota unbeaten. But that's my number 5. I'm going to roll real quick into my number 4, if I may, gentlemen.
This is Dr. Balls, and you're listening to Smacking Off, the podcast.
Shark is America's #1 vacuum. Find yours today at our website at smackology.42web.io and click affiliates at the top of the page. Listen to Smacking Off the podcast on Spotify, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Also check us out on the Podbean app, Player FM and Podchaser. Support Smacking Off the podcast by patronizing our affiliates' products. Go to our website at smackology.42web.io and click the affiliates link. There you will find a host of great deals to stretch your dollar to its fullest.
Great products like Showtime, Shark Vacuums, Dish Network, Vidgo, Hulu, NFL Plus, and GameStop. The list goes on. Remember, smackology.42web.io and remember to click the affiliates link for these products and many more. Kentucky at Ole Miss Saturday. Noon Eastern kick on ESPN.
Another battle of unbeatens, Doug. And where are we at this time? As I've said numerous times, we're in the best conference in college football. It just means more conference in college football. Kentucky at Ole Miss. Ole Miss, hotty toddy. We're going to have the bow ties ready to go. We're going to have the drinks ready to go. And we're going to prove once and for all that Kentucky is fraudulent. And Lane Kiffin is going to be the man to prove it. I love Ole Miss in this game. I like Ole Miss by 10. I think Kentucky is fake news. I don't care that they barely beat Florida in the swamp. We saw that Florida is not really the truth. Ole Miss wins this game hands down at the Grove. They get the job done.
I like Kentucky. I like their defense. I like Kentucky's defense more than I like Ole Miss's offense.
I like Ole Miss offense, and we know it being Lane Kiffin is going to have he's going to have a little trickeration this week for Kentucky. You know it. It's in Oxford. It's going to be a little warm there, a little more humid in Oxford than it is in Kentucky. And Kentucky, I know they just barely beat Northern Illinois. Okay, yeah, okay, fine. Now they beat.
Yeah, but Ole Miss.
No, they beat the hell out of Northern Illinois. But Northern Illinois is a lot different than Ole Miss. Well, Ole Miss just beat Georgia Tech. That's a Power 5 team.
Oh God.
Well, rest in peace to their coach. He's gone. Doug, you can take him off your list, by the way.
Did he get fired?
Yeah, he got fired. Well,
as of today, yeah, he got fired today. He's gone. Rest in peace. He's gone.
Geoff Collins.
Never trusted Jeff with a G and 2 F's. Can't trust him. Cannot. It's got to be a J and 2 F's.
J
and 2 F's. Yeah.
He spells it Geoff. Geoffrey.
He's Georgia Tech will
red
get
flag.
Georgia Tech will get back though one day. Trust me. If you're in the city of Atlanta, you can be good again in football. Here's the thing though. They need to start recruiting, Georgia Tech that is. And it's tough
At home.
because it's an academic school, but they need to start recruiting those kids that are going to Georgia Southern, going to Georgia State, et cetera, and get them to go to Georgia Tech. Because there's just too much talent that's leaving the city of Atlanta. Georgia Tech should be much better than what they are. It's quite egregious. In fact, it's atrocious. It's egregious and atrocious.
Yeah, they got I put Atlanta number 2 in like a metro area for recruiting. I put Miami
for high
at
school
1.
football. Absolutely,
Yeah.
There's so much talent there, and I mean, it's not Florida. Don't get me wrong, but Atlanta has a lot of great
But
high
I'm
school
talking
football
about
players.
as a metro area. I put them number 2 or 3 at least.
Yeah, I mean, the only one I put Dallas and maybe New Orleans a little higher.
Yeah.
But other than that, they don't take a back seat to anybody. And for them to be, I think have they won a game yet this year?
No,
that's pathetic. And Yellow Jacket fans deserve better. They should expect better. They have a great tradition. And let me just remind you of something. Georgia Tech, guess what? Still has more national titles than Clemson. I bet you wouldn't think that, right? You wouldn't think that.
No.
And they still have a 19 game lead on Clemson in the all-time series.
Alabama at Arkansas, Saturday, 3:30 Eastern kick on CBS.
My next game is Alabama and Arkansas.
Oh, you're a
This
stinker.
is gonna be.
You're a stinker. So that's your number 4. Is that your number 4?
I was doing 3 games.
You're doing 3. Okay, so then we're tied because this is going to be my number 3 as well. Alabama at Arkansas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. That's good. I agree with you.
This is going to be a bloodshed. I believe the worst thing that could happen for Alabama was an Arkansas loss because Arkansas is going to be looking their wins.
The piggies are going to be pissy.
Yeah, it's going to be full. They're going to hang in front of Raptors. This one's going to be a good one. And I mean, I think Arkansas has a good chance.
I think they got a puncher's chance. I don't think a good chance. And the reason I say that, here's why they don't. That quarterback is just, come on, man. Come on. You can't.
He can run around.
He can run around. That's great. But like when you need to throw a pass, like Texas A&M was giving you a lot of free throwing lanes. And, yikes! It was.
Who beats A&M the rest of the year? I think they go undefeated. I think they can.
No.
Who's going to get them? Ole Miss? Maybe?
Alabama will get them.
Oh, yeah.
I think Alabama will get them.
Yeah.
I think Ole Miss has a puncher's chance with them for sure.
That game's in College Station. I think Ole Miss got a chance.
Whoa. Time out. College Station lost its cred.
I mean, it is at home for them, but I like Ole Miss. I do
too.
I think Mississippi State's got a chance.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm not, just because Max Johnson pulled out a game where he was a back then. What was it, KJ?
Jefferson.
KJ Jefferson, which KJ missed a lot of throws for Arkansas. Missed a lot of throws.
I just don't like Jimbo. I want him to lose every game if possible.
Well, yeah, nobody likes Jimbo.
He's like a vanilla Dabo Swinney where he complains, he cries, "Oh, poor little O&M."
Me and Sean was talking about this. He seems defensive all the time. Yeah. He's always on the defense.
Yeah,
I know it's going to be in Fayetteville. There's going to be a lot of crazy Hog fans hooting and hollering. But here's the difference between the two teams. You ready? One team has Bryce Young. One team does not.
But Bama doesn't have the speedy receivers, though.
Neither does Georgia. But Georgia wins. Georgia has Ladd McConkey.
I realized Alabama was playing Vanderbilt, but their receivers played a lot better this week than they had all year.
My point is, when push comes to shove in this game, and it might be a close game, don't get me wrong, but Bryce Young will make the throws that he needs to make for Alabama to win the game. Yeah. That's why he's a Heisman Trophy winner. I like Alabama by 10 in this game. I'm going to call it 30. Make it 13. I got Alabama 34, Arkansas 21.
I think Alabama pulls away. I think it's like a 28-21 in the fourth quarter. Bama gets 2 field goals and just squashes it.
love what's his name, the running back for Alabama, Gibbs. Is that the kid's name?
Yeah. Josh Gibbs. He's from Georgia
Yeah, I
Tech.
love him. He's from Georgia Tech. Yeah, he's playing his ass off. I think the Alabama offensive line has figured it out, particularly on that zone, because Bryce Young can run too. You know, he's mobile. So I think Alabama just has too much for Arkansas, and
Yeah.
I know they're going to be angry losing that game to A&M, but they played Max Johnson. That dude doesn't move. He's a statue. No, I like Alabama in this game. I think it's either 31-21 or 34-21 Alabama. Bama just does what they do. You know, Saban will have the guys ready. The Alabama defense is going to do what they're doing with Dallas Turner and Will Anderson Jr. Will Anderson Jr. is a freak. Probably going to be the number one defensive player taken in the draft next year. You know, assuming he decides not to come back. I mean, he could certainly come back if he wants. I mean, I think he's got another year of eligibility. But no, Alabama's going to win this game. But I think it'll be competitive for like 3 quarters.
So here's my opinion on this. Alabama this is going to have more to do with Alabama than Arkansas. If Alabama goes over to Arkansas the way they went over to Austin, I think Alabama can definitely lose this game.
Yeah.
But see, I think Nick Saban will this week will instill on his players, you know, let's not screw around like we did with Texas.
I definitely think Arkansas is a better team than Texas.
Yeah. But no, I disagree with that. For just one reason. Hear me out. I know you think I'm crazy, but I'll tell you this.
Texas has their quarterback.
Let me finish, Gabe. Before Quinn Ewers went out of that game, Quinn Ewers was the player of the game in that game. He was making throws that were incredible. KJ cannot make those throws that Quinn Ewers made. And if Alabama can weather the storm against the Quinn Ewers before he went out with injury, and I'm sorry he got hurt. I never want to see anybody hurt. You know that. That's not. But injuries happen. It's a part of the game. But Quinn Ewers is a much better passer than KJ is for Arkansas. And number 2, Texas on par has just as good a receiving core as Arkansas has. And if that wasn't the case, we would have seen some Arkansas receivers make some catches against Texas A&M. They did not. I was very unimpressed with the Arkansas wide receiver core against the Aggies on Saturday. And if Bama can cover Texas's wide receivers, they're not going to have a problem covering Arkansas's wide receivers. I like Alabama to go in again. 10 points or 13 points. Alabama wins this game in Fayetteville, and they stay
cover the spread.
They cover.
I'd say Bama 28, Arkansas 17. But Alabama, if Alabama plays like shit, it's going to be a lot closer. And you know how that shit goes. Anything can happen, especially when Arkansas is at home.
Again, as Nick Saban always says, the players got to stop reading the rat poison and stop listening to Stephen A. Smith and who's the other guy that I don't like? Skip Bayless and Max Kellerman. All these talking heads that want to proclaim them national champions. And it's a long season, right? It's a long season. Stop reading the press clippings and just do your job. And Saban's great about getting his players to just focus on doing their job. And I think they will this weekend. I think this is going to be a business trip. I haven't looked at the weather yet. The last time Alabama, I think, went to Arkansas, it was a rainstorm. It was a rain bolt.
Yeah.
That might have something to do with the game. But if it's not raining, if temperature's fine, if it's 70, 65, whatever, no rain, Alabama's just far too talented for Arkansas.
Wake Forest at FSU Saturday, 3:30 Eastern kick on ABC.
I love this game. Great matchup. I love the Florida State story. They're playing good ball.
So this was my honorable mention game. Can I ask you a quick question?
Yes.
Did you watch any of Wake Forest against Clemson this past weekend?
Yeah, yes, I did.
I think Doug, you probably watched this game as well.
Yeah.
Maybe a little. Is it just me, or why on that? I think they were tied in the fourth quarter, and Wake had the ball, right? Why the hell did they go so run heavy on that drive when Hartman was having just an incredible game? And he broke, if you count the touchdown he threw in the first overtime, he now owns the single game touchdown passing record. He had 6 touchdown passes. But that last drive in regulation, and help me out, what's the Dave
Wake Forest deserved to win.
Clausen went uber conservative on that drive with nothing but when Hartman and that one receiver for Wake was just eating number 20 Wiggins for Clemson, just eating him alive. He went uber conservative and ran the ball like the whole. I think. You know what? You know what Wake Forest reminded me of in that game? They reminded me of the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions are the only team in pro football that can snatch defeat from the jaws of victory because they get so conservative, they get afraid. Wake Forest should have won that game. Sam Hartman deserved to be like people should have known who Sam Hartman is, and really only us us college football junkies, us addicts, saw how great Sam Hartman outplayed DJU. He did. DJU got lucky that his receivers made some incredible catches. I'm not going to take that away from Clemson's tight ends and wide receivers, but man, Wake they got to be waking up on no pun intended on Sunday morning going, what the hell happened? We should have won that game.
Oh yeah,
but I agree with you. I think this is going to be a great game down in Tallahassee.
And that's why I love Wake Forest in this game. I think
So you think they're going to be showing up down there pissed off?
Oh yeah. I fully believe that they shut down the Florida State homers. And they just.
You think the Walmart Knowles are going home unhappy?
Yeah. I fully think that's going to happen.
I don't.
Sam Hartman, and I like Wake Forest offense more than. I think that Wake Forest defense get enough stops. Just one or two.
Okay.
Just one or two. That's all we need.
I need to know who will be starting at quarterback for Florida State, because remember they had to bring the backup in to beat Louisville on that Friday night, and that kid actually looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Who started this week? They killed Boston College.
Yeah,
I didn't. Did he? Okay, so Travis did. Okay, so if he's, man, this is going to be a tough game. But I'm stealing your thunder. I'm with you. I think this Wake Forest Florida State game, I got it just outside my top 5, but I'm going to be watching. I'm excited. I'm super excited for this game. I hope Sam Hartman doesn't
and you
take
can probably
the loss.
assume what my number 1 is.
I'm going to make a prediction. I really don't have a feel for this Wake Forest Florida State game for whatever reason. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have a feel for it. But I'm gonna make a prediction. If Florida State wins this game, and if they win it easily, Florida State's back.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. By the way, did y'all see how shitty the state of Florida had it in college football Saturday? Like every team, Florida State should thank their ass that they were idle. I think they didn't play. They didn't have a game.
No, Florida State.
They played Boston. Boston College.
It's almost like being idle, yeah.
It's almost like being idle, right? Okay, I take that back. Let me rephrase my statement. But outside of Florida State beating, Boston College, who hasn't been anything since Glenn Foley was there and Tom Coughlin was the head coach.
Hey, Miami needs to be thankful they didn't play James Madison last week because they would have got beat 70-0.
Oklahoma State at Baylor, Saturday, 3:30 Eastern kick on Fox.
Rematch game from last year's Big 12 championship game. The unbeaten Oklahoma State Fighting Mike Gundy's 3-0 visit the 3-1 Baylor Bears. Their only defeat was in double overtime at BYU in the mountains. This is going to be a hell of a game. Gundy against Garanda. This has huge implications in the Big 12. We're going to find out what Oklahoma State's all about. We already kind of know a little bit about Baylor. They struggled to barely lose in double overtime to BYU, but then they came right back and they beat unbeaten Iowa State in Ames. Dave Aranda's a hell of a coach. It's in Waco on the Brazos River. It's a tough place to play. So I am super stoked for Oklahoma State at Baylor. If Oklahoma State wins this game, I think they have an inside track at getting back to Jerry's World for the Big 12 title game. That's my number 2 game of the week.
NC State at Clemson, Saturday, 7:30 Eastern kick on ABC.
My number 1 is Clemson and NC State.
Well, we agree. We finally agree, Gabe. That is also my number.
This has upset written all over it.
I think Dane's got a good chance at having a bad weekend.
Yeah, Clemson, they play it down to their opponents like usual. They're going to start Clemsoning.
I think
NC State gets it done.
I think everybody in the country is
Hates
rooting for
Clemson.
NC State.
It's Dabo, man. If he just shuts his mouth, Clemson is a likable team.
Well, and here's also even if it weren't for the Dabo effect, here's the problem we already face as we hit literally. We're at the end of September right now, and this weekend's games will be the first weekend of October. We're already seeing the problem in college football. And what is that problem? Doug knows what that problem is. Doug, what has the CFP done every year in television rating?
It hasn't been good, has it?
No, it keeps going down year after year after year.
Because the same teams are in it.
The same teams are in it.
And it blow everybody up.
And why does the NFL playoffs trump college football playoff?
Well, I mean, more
because
parity.
we never know. We have parity. We have parity. We have no parity right now. And right now, what we're looking down the barrel of the double-barreled Remington 12-gauge shotgun is
Clemson,
Georgia, Alabama, Clemson, and Ohio State. That's where we're at right now, boys. You know.
So we gotta
if you aren't a fan of those programs,
you're not gonna watch.
Why would you spend your New Year's Eve watching this shit?
I don't believe Clemson gets there this year.
I don't think so.
Well, Doug, it's not. You're not looking so good on that, because if they get by North Carolina State this week, tell me who stops them. They have one tough game left on their schedule before the ACC championship game.
That's Florida State.
I don't believe they win.
I wouldn't even say it's Florida State. I think it's Notre Dame.
Yeah, I don't believe they win at Notre Dame, and I don't believe they beat NC State either. I don't think this is a great Clemson team. I'm not even sure.
I think because it's in Death Valley, and Clemson is a different team in Death Valley than they are on the road.
I have a question, guys.
I think they, and also I've watched NC State. What offense does that team have? I mean, it's atrocious. I have
a question. When is the last time that this was a battle of top 10 teams?
Oh, that's very cool. But you do know this is a rivalry trophy game, right?
Yep, and I know that.
You know what trophy they play? They play for the Textile Bowl.
Yeah, Textile.
Yep. This is a great rivalry. I do love when these two teams play. I mean, this is one of the better ACC matchups. I hate there are some years where they don't play. By the way, I think right or are they in the same division?
No, they play every year.
They're going to now. The ACC is getting stupid, and they're going to no division. So God knows if they're going to keep playing They need to play every year. Because this is a hell of a rivalry game. In my life, they play every year for the Textile Bowl. It's a great game. And I like what NC State is building. I like what they're building.
NC State is going for their second win in a row in the series, too.
Yeah, but the problem for NC State last year was they beat Clemson, but they didn't capitalize on it because then they lost to, I forget who.
Wake Forest.
They lost to, yeah. So the ACC will be a better conference when somebody other than Clemson wins the conference. Then we can start saying, this is a conference that's, obviously it's more relevant than the Pac-12.
Who wins the Atlantic division?
God, I don't.
Miami.
That's a hell of a question. I don't know. That whole division looks ragtag. It's ragtag.
Virginia maybe. Well, Virginia lost Syracuse.
Yeah, they lost. Maybe Syracuse is Syracuse in that division.
I think
I don't.
so.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think so.
It's fugly though, man. I mean, because Miami hadn't looked
Duke.
good. No, Duke just got beat by Kansas, so you can't. And Georgia Tech just fired. I mean, it's the problem.
It's
Yeah, I mean, the
filthy.
problem is that one division in the ACC is good, and the other division is doo doo. It's trash. Because if NC State wins this game, they'll be 5-0, right?
Mhm.
I don't think they'll be lower ranked than like 7th or 8th in the country. They'll be like 7 or 8 in the AP poll. I guarantee it. If they win the game,
Yeah,
and then they won't know what to do. Because when was the last time NC State was in the top 10? Probably
did they
back
get
when.
there last year?
Probably. Well,
I think they did.
Maybe
For a minute.
Did
For a minute.
they get there?
Yeah, they did.
For a minute, and then what they do?
Lost.
They lost. Yeah, I mean, so I would love to see NC State pull this off, and then also matriculate their way to the ACC title game. That'd be great, and I'd love to see. I'd love to see Dabo, not in the ACC title game. That would be great for once. But
No, it happened last year.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, but that was, that how many losses did each team have going in that game last year? I mean, I sort of wrote the ACC title game off last year because I think each team had at least a loss, maybe two.
The last game I want to talk about is Oklahoma and TCU.
Hey, kudos to TCU surviving Doug and my favorite Group of 5 team.
SMU.
The fighting SMU ponies gave them all they could handle. Fell just a touchdown short. Sonny Dykes barely escaped.
They got so close to beat Maryland and TCU in back-to-back weeks, and
SMU's a hell of a program. Hell of a program.
Yes.
So, Sean, this is a breakfast game for you, so you're going to have to go ahead and get your breakfast on. I think Oklahoma's going to be on the warpath.
I agree. I think Oklahoma is let's just be honest. Brent Venables is going to have his hands all over those boys this week in practice, and he's going to be
tackled. They still can't. They couldn't tackle Taylor Martinez.
Remember he's inherited players from the
Lincoln Riley.
Riley.
Yeah, right. So Venables doesn't have his defensive guys in there per se. He's trying to coach them up. But yeah, they still struggle to tackle. They tackled very poorly Saturday night against. And
Dylan Gabriel's not a good quarterback.
And Dylan Gabriel's he's a B. He's a B quarterback, but he's not an A. And that certainly came to fruition. And let's also not forget to tip our caps to Adrian Martinez, who just absolutely. That kid played his ass off. I mean, he played, and you wonder, you go,
well, could have been.
What would Nebraska be where they are right now if they had kept Martinez this year? I mean, they might be unbeaten.
I don't know if Martinez plays like
they
that.
They definitely beat Northwestern in Ireland if they had Martinez.
Well, guys,
it's
been
fun.
Real, and it was.
It's the best.
The sound is definitely better.
Oh, yeah. Podbean's great. The sound sounds great.
Yeah,
Gabe, I'm glad you were able to hang out. I love having Gabe on.
Oh, yeah. Just y'all let me know next week, and we can do it again.
Sunday.
Make this a tradition.
Yeah, let's have you on again.
All right, I got to throw out one more thing before I click it out. Ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Oh, stupid later. All right. Later, Doug. Love you, brother.
All right. Later, guys.
Here's 6 things that you can do to help support this podcast. Like, share and comment on our videos. Buy our merchandise. Use our affiliate web links to buy great products and services from our affiliates. And tell others about our podcast.